This is Sony's latest and greatest flagship headphone, the WH-1000XM6. Now, in this video, you will get to know everything you need to know about the new XM6s, but honestly, if you know your Sony flagship headphone history, well, you know that things haven't really changed much throughout the years since the WH-XM3s. I mean, I know they changed the design a few years back with the XM5s, and some other little things have changed here and there, but long story short, if you had or you have the XM3s, well, even if someone with the XM4s walks into the same bar as you, well, he can't really look down on you. And even if another guy comes in with the XM5s on, I mean, you might think he's cool with the newish design or whatever, but when it comes to sound quality, noise canceling, and most of the things that actually matter, well, he can't really look down on any of you in that bar. But see, I found that if a fourth guy were to walk into the bar and he had on the XM6s, well then, I think he'll be able to look down on all three of you at once. Just a little bit, at least. And in this video, we're going to talk about exactly why that is. And we're going to talk about everything that has to do with the brand new XM6s, from the new design to how good the battery still is, to how much better it is now at noise canceling and transparency as well with the new AI microphones, and just everything, like I said, you know. But to begin, we're going to start with the most important aspect of any headphones ever made, and of course I'm talking about sound quality. When I first got the XM6s, put them on, and started listening to music with them, I immediately knew that these are the best sounding Sony headphones I'd ever listened to. The Sony audio drivers have come a long way, and with the XM6, I would say that they've now finally upgraded from the level of the XM3, the XM4, and even the XM5, honestly. Because everything now just sounds noticeably more clear and just cleaner and more quality sounding, you know, in the highs, in the mids, and in the bass as well. Long story short, when it comes to sound quality, the Sony WH-1000XM6 is just a step above its predecessors and is the best sounding Sony headphone ever made. Now, you may be wondering, how could I be so sure? How could I be so confident to say that the XM4s didn't sound much different from the XM3s, and then the XM5s came out and they didn't sound so much better than the XM3s or the XM4s, right? But now the XM6s have come out and they sound noticeably better than the XM3s, XM4s, and the XM5s, right? Well, you should know I have used all of these devices, and I've tested them pretty thoroughly, and I know them well. And when I got the WH-XM3 for the first time, I thought they sounded great. One of the best sounding headphones in the world at the time. But then I got the WH-XM4s a couple years later, and they also sounded great. But it's just, they sounded just as great as the XM3s did. And I knew this because I tested them back to back, one after the other, right after the other, and I could tell that there wasn't much of a difference when it came to sound quality. And that's why after about a month or so, I returned the XM4s. Since I had the XM3s, I just didn't feel like I needed them. A couple years after that, the WH-XM5 came out, and I got it, and I started listening to music with it, and I still didn't feel it was really better than my XM3s when it came to sound quality specifically, after testing them back to back. So after about a month or so, I returned it. Since I had the XM3s, again, I just didn't feel like I needed it. Now fast forward to this year, just a couple weeks ago, the WH-XM6 came out, and I got it, of course, and again, like I said, as soon as I started listening to music with it, it immediately sounded like it was on a different level from all the other Sony headphones. Now just to be sure though, you know I had to, once again, put it against the OG Sony GOAT headphones, my WH-1000XM3s. And as soon as I did that, I kind of already knew, but after I went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth a couple more times, just because that's what I do, well, it was pretty obvious to me that one headphone sounds clearly better than the other. And even with my eyes closed, I know that I'd pick the WH-XM6 10 times out of 10 when compared to the XM3s. And that's not something I could say about the WH-XM4 and the WH-XM5. So, like I said, with the new XM6, sound quality is the best it's ever been. And it's potentially the best in the entire consumer headphone market right now. Potentially. It's also still as customizable as it's ever been, because you can still go into the Sony Sound Connect app and change your EQ settings if you don't like the neutral, bassy, stock EQ mix from Sony. Now this is pretty much the same as before, and it works just as well as before as well. Now, there are some things that are new and improved this year with the XM6, and they're pretty cool in theory as well, but let's not talk about that right now, because I don't know if that belongs in the sound quality category exactly. Even though it kind of does, it also kind of doesn't. But just know that as far as sound quality goes overall, these are the best sounding Sony headphones ever made. And at this point, might just be the best sounding consumer headphones in the entire world. Top 5 for sure. Now, there's another category that the XM6 might now be the best in the world in, where it's definitely the best performing Sony headphone ever made as well. And the category I'm talking about is noise cancelling. Long story short, from the very first moment I put the WH-1000XM6s on, I just knew that they were in the running for the best noise cancelling headphones in the world. I mean, I've been using noise cancelling headphones and earbuds for almost a decade now, maybe even more. And I'm not new to the feeling of noise being canceled when I put headphones on, you know? But see, when you put on the XM6, you just hear nothing around you, you know? Like the noise is canceled, not just like reduced, like, you know what I mean? Now, I'm not exaggerating, but I kind of am, because yeah, I don't hear any noise right now, but I can't hear my own voice, you know? And even if I were to take the headphones off and I was to give it to you to wear yourself, well, yeah, you wouldn't hear any noise as well, but you will still be able to hear my voice, you know, just not as loud and stuff. So yeah, the brand new XM6s are great, and they are the best Sony headphones I've ever used when it comes to noise canceling, and the best Sony headphones ever made in general when it comes to noise canceling. But there are no noise canceling consumer headphones that have ever been made that can actually cancel all noise, you know? Even the best of the best can only reduce noise, and they all struggle with things like voices and just some other things like that. And that's exactly the same case with the WH-1000XM6. Actually, speaking of that, there is something a little weird and inconsistent about the XM6's noise canceling. I mean, I know I said it's great and all, but that's when we're in my decently quiet room with consistent noise. If we were to go somewhere else and the noise were to change, well, then the noise canceling might change as well. See, this year with the WH-1000XM6, Sony has some brand new microphones, AI microphones. In fact, there are a total of 12 of them around the headphones, according to Sony, although I only count 8 with my visible eye, unless there are different kinds of microphones on here. And we'll talk about these microphones later, but for now, just know that when it comes to noise canceling, these mics are very important. And they do a lot of good, of course, because I said these are one of the best noise canceling headphones in the world. But these microphones also do a bit of bad, I found, that I thought I should let you know about. If you're not listening to music and you're in a place with not the most consistent noise, like somewhere windy, for example, well, the noise canceling you'll experience will not be consistent. This happens about 5, 10, at most 15% of the time, I'd say, and it doesn't even last long when it does. It just kind of sounds like the mics are not sure of what the noise is in the environment, and then you can just hear it kind of change its mind. I mean, don't get me wrong though, it's not that bad, and moving around and slightly adjusting the position of the mics and the exact fit of the headphones do seem to make things more likely to fluctuate. Well, honestly, don't be scared. It's really not that bad at all in the real world, and you really have to be like not listening to any music and trying to like listen for the noise for you to even hear it at all. So I really think if you're like most people, you're really not even going to notice this if you get the XM6s. Now, I mean, I thought I'll bring it up in the video because this video is about the full experience of using the XM6. But long story short, just know that when it comes to noise canceling, the brand new Sony XM6s, I was going to say they're the best headphones in the world, but they're one of the best headphones in the world. Top 3 for sure. But that's only at its very best though. At its worst, it's only very good. And that happens when the AI microphones start doing their fluctuating, let's find the new noise standard in this environment thingy, you know. And even then, I don't think it's that big a deal. All in all, I'll say noise canceling is great on the Sony XM6. Same thing goes for the category opposite of noise canceling, aka transparency. Actually, maybe not exactly. See, when it comes to transparency on the WH-1000XM6s, well, things are the best they've ever been and are just about perfect. But it's only just about though. It's not like headphones like the AirPods Max, which literally sound perfect, like exactly the way your ears do. With the XM6s, honestly, things basically sound exactly like they do with your ears, but then you take the headphones off and you're like, oh, that's what my ears sound like, you know? So it's very close, but not exactly perfect. Also, when you use transparency or ambient sound in a whole lot of different situations and environments, well, you find that there's some sounds that the microphones just tend to boost or struggle to make sound natural and just sound a little artificial. And many times, it's that specific sound the sound is struggling with that'll give it away for me and make me notice that, yeah, this doesn't sound perfectly natural. But of course, all of this isn't a big deal in the real world, and because a whole lot of headphones don't even reach this level, the XM6s are still one of the best headphones in the world right now when it comes to transparency. I'll give it an A, but maybe not an A+, but also not an A-, so that's good. They also have that sound protection thingy that some other headphones have, where to cut off any loud sound before it reaches your ears, and this works pretty well as well. Long story short, just like with noise cancelling and sound quality, transparency is very, very good on the XM6, one of the best in the entire world. And so far in this video, it's seeming like the XM6 could potentially be the best headphones in the entire world overall, and Sony could be on top again like they were in the XM3 era. Because think about it, if you're among the best of the best in the world when it comes to sound quality, noise cancelling, and transparency, well then, what else is there? Like, you're kind of guaranteed to be one of the best headphones in the entire world overall, right? Well, to be honest, the WH-1000XM6 does have some not so good characteristics that kind of affects the whole experience of using it negatively, including the areas of sound quality, noise cancelling, and transparency. But it's not time for that yet. We'll get into that later. Right now, we're talking about transparency specifically, and like I said, when it comes to this, the XM6s are very, very good overall, even with the microphone boosting sound thing. And up to this point, overall, it's looking like the XM6 is easily the best pair of headphones you can buy from Sony by a good margin, and maybe even the best headphones you can buy in the entire world today. But no matter how good it is today though, it won't be the best headphones of tomorrow. And that's because technology keeps moving forward as time goes on. Of course in the headphone world, but also when it comes to computers, laptops, tablets, smartphones, cameras, and even wallets. I guess the only difference though is that this wallet right here, if you buy it, might really be the last wallet you ever buy. And I'm not just saying that because they paid me to. This video is sponsored by EKSTER, but I've been using this wallet for about 3 years now, and I'll probably keep using them forever. Not because I like them so much, which I do actually, but because you literally cannot lose this wallet, like ever. Well, basically. It has a GPS tracker you can get with it that charges with solar technology, so it basically never ever loses its charge. So if you're in a situation where you can't find your wallet for some reason, well then you can go into the app and see exactly where it is. And if you've already tracked down the wallets and you're already in the same vicinity or GPS location, then you can just press a button and your wallet will make a loud sound, so you can easily find it. So it's basically this, plus the fact that you can use your wallet to find your phone in reverse, the fact that it can hold up to 12 cards, as well as some cash and spare change, and the fact that it has a warranty for life. Well, that's what makes me think that I'll probably use this wallet forever. And that if you buy it, it'll probably be the last wallet you ever buy. So thanks again EKSTER for sponsoring this video and making one of the best wallets in the entire world. But this video is specifically about potentially one of the best headphones in the entire world, aka the WH-1000XM6. And like I was saying, when it comes to noise cancelling and transparency, it's among the best of the best out there, although the microphones seem to do some funny things sometimes. Now speaking of the microphones, remember I told you that Sony's pretty proud of them, right?
Well, they have a good reason to be. Right now, the audio you're listening to is being recorded through the XM6 microphones, the XM6 AI microphones, if you will. Actually, I'm not sure if it's the AI microphones, the ones that do the noise cancelling and transparency. I'm not sure if that's the exact microphones, if those are the exact microphones that's recording this segment right here. Because like, I'm recording the segment right here and I can see my voice being recorded right now, right? And if I do something like this, like where all these microphones are, you see, it didn't pick up anything. But then if I do, you see, it picks up the sound from here. And I know a lot of other microphones on headphones, with the microphones over here, they get lost up in the noise of the environment and they normally just can't pick up the sound mainly from here. But it sounds like maybe the AI microphones are rejecting the sound at the same time and it's focusing. I don't really know how the AI microphones work. All I know is just based on what you can hear alone and what I've heard, because I've already listened to myself talk with these microphones, these are the best microphones that have ever been on a Sony flagship headphone. I don't know if you watched any of the videos I made about the XM3s and the XM4s a couple years ago in its glory days, where a younger version of me said some pretty bad things about the microphones because they sounded terrible. I call it the worst part of the experience of using the XM3s. And same thing goes for the XM4s. Their mics suck too. Now, yes, that is true, and I don't remember how good or how bad the mics were on the XM5s right now. I'm not so sure, but I am sure, like I said before, that these are the best microphones that have ever been on any Sony headphone. I mean, yeah, compared to the XM3s and XM4s, but that's not really saying much. But it is still the case. This year, these microphones are pretty good. But I did have a point though, because yeah, these microphones are pretty good, but they're not as good as some microphones you find like on headphones, like the AirPods Max, for example. And Apple didn't even make as much of a fuss about those mics like Sony's done with the XM6. But the XM6 microphones are pretty good. They're just not contending for the best microphones on headphones in the entire world.
So far though, in basically every category except microphones specifically, the XM6 has been contending for the spot of the best consumer headphones on the planet. And everything's been extremely positive so far in this video. So that means it's a perfect time to get into something a little negative. And sadly, what I'm talking about is the build and design of the WH-1000XM6 itself. Now, I don't think the new XM6 is ugly or anything. That's not why I'm about to say some negative things about its design. Actually, I think they look pretty good. Nothing too crazy, just a normal, good-looking pair of headphones. It's made with plastic with a smooth finish on the outside of the cups, and then a soft touch, faux leather type material all throughout, everywhere else basically. And it's almost the same design as the XM5 from a couple years ago. Although it's not exactly the same. It's rounder overall, kind of wider at the top, and and this year, it can fold again. The XM5s couldn't for some reason, but that's back with the XM6. This year still though, just like with the XM5, the XM6 also doesn't have the NFC touch connectivity feature like the XM3s and the XM4s used to. Sony took that out with the XM5 and it didn't bring it back on the XM6 this year. Like I said, the XM5 and XM6 are pretty similar design-wise. When you look closely though, you see that the XM6 has some other updates and some new stuff. It's all in the details. I'm talking about the addition of the new AI microphones, the power button getting a little prettier and a little more functional too, because it's no longer the same shape and size as the noise cancelling / transparency button. So it should be easier to hit the right button when you have the headphones on and you can't see the button yourself, because it's behind you. Although I didn't really hear too many people complaining about this. All in all though, when it comes to build and design, the WH-1000XM6 is respectable. It doesn't really stand out so much and they're not the prettiest headphones I've ever used, but they have a good amount of welcome upgrades in the details, and they do still look and feel good in hand. Now, when I say it looks good though, and I actually like how it looks, well, I don't really mean this specific XM6 headphone I'm holding right here, because this year I got the silver platinum version. But I wish I just got the black ones, and didn't try to be so different. Even the blue ones would have been cool, I think. These are the only 3 colors you can choose from when buying the XM6, at least for right now. And long story short, all I'm saying is the silver platinum color doesn't look very sexy to me, and it doesn't really go with a lot of outfits like some black headphones would. I mean, it kind of works well with some outfits though, in my opinion, I guess. Although if you're dressed like this and you're actually thinking of going on a run or just working out, well, you're going to run into a bit of an annoying issue with the XM6. Yeah, but let's talk about that very soon, okay? Right now, we're just talking build and design. And apart from the color, which is just my opinion anyways, I'll say the WH-1000XM6 looks and fits pretty good in hand and on ear, or on head. Now, it doesn't always fit this good though, or rather, it doesn't always look like it fits this good. Sometimes you just take the headphones off, and then you put them back on without looking, and it'll feel really good on your ears and on your head, it's comfortable. And so you go ahead and start to go on with your day, but then you decide to just take a quick look in the mirror before you go, and yeah, I know you might not believe me, and I am exaggerating maybe a little, but I'm telling you, the way the XM6 fits in your head sometimes, this kind of makes you look a little stupid, Now, it might be my fault though, because I always do this when I use the XM6, but honestly, I don't really think it's my fault because I don't think this is a big deal because I do this with all headphones that I use, and this has never really been an issue with even the old Sony headphones, like, I don't know, the Sony XM3s, for example, So this is what I think, that's why I think that this is just an XM6 issue with design. But that's not really a big deal in the real world, and this is not the negative thing that I was talking about when it comes to design. The actual negative thing I was talking about also isn't that big of a deal in the real world, but it is kind of annoying if it ever happens to you. See, the build of the XM6 is pretty good and pretty sturdy. It feels pretty solid, you know? But if you're ever in transparency mode and something were to touch your headphones in the wrong spot, well, you're gonna hear it. Now, this only happens noticeably when you're in transparency mode and when something makes contact with the headphones itself, you know, and like some specific parts of the headphones only. True. But it does kind of feel cheap when it happens, and it happened to me, so I thought you should know what it feels like, or at least sounds like, if it happened to you. With that being said though, that's about the only objective negative thing I have to say about the build and design of the Sony WH-1000XM6. I can't act like I hate them, and I can't say I love them, but I have no issues with the build and design of the XM6, you know? And besides, looks aren't everything, you know? And the way the headphone looks when you put it on your head, it doesn't really matter, you know? It's not objectively important. You know what is objectively important though? Well, it's the way a pair of headphones fit, perform, and feel on your head. And another word for all of that is seamlessness. When it comes to seamlessness on the WH-1000XM6, when it comes to seamlessness with any pair of headphones or earbuds, well, it all starts with the fit and how comfortable things are. And with the XM6, things are good, I have to say. They're pretty comfortable headphones. They're not exceptionally comfortable though, and I don't know if I'd even say they're more comfortable than the older models. It just feels comfortable, just like they felt comfortable, you know? And I can use this guy for hours without any problems, but just like before with some past iterations, if it tries to lay down on the bed with them, at least on your side anyways, well, your neck and the side of your head are gonna tell you that these guys aren't built for that. It's not that bad, but unlike with the XM5s, you're gonna have to do some hand gymnastics if you wanna be actually comfortable here. And also with the XM6, if you're in transparency mode and you're not listening to anything for some reason, you might just start hearing your own headphones, like physically, like I said before. Although, to be honest, for some reason, this isn't too big a deal against the bed and clothing materials. Actually, it's not a big deal at all whatsoever, basically. I mean, you've basically heard it yourself, you know? And if you've been wondering how I record the exact sounds for you guys sometimes, well, I guess you kind of know now. Shh, don't tell anybody. But the point is that the WH-1000XM6s are very comfortable headphones overall, but like most of the headphones, they're not the most comfortable when laying down on the bed on your side, you know, unless you do some hand gymnastics like I talked about before. Now, there is another activity that isn't the most fun or comfortable to do with the XM6, and that is working out. Actually, it's not that these guys aren't comfortable when working out. They actually feel very comfortable even when working out. But it's just all the water in and around your ears might feel a little not comfortable. And by water, I mean salt water. Yeah, your ears, and your ears specifically, are gonna sweat a lot with the XM6. Now, this isn't anything new though. The same thing happens with the XM4s, like I talked about a couple years ago, and even with the XM5s, honestly, and just most noise canceling headphones in the real world. But you know, this year, and with the XM6 specifically, I think it's a little worse. It's like the way it seals in your ears is just too good. And maybe it's good for noise canceling with the way it seals out the noise, but it's not the best when it comes to comfort and seamlessness with the way it seems to trap in the heat when you're working out. Although, at the end of the day, like I said, it's not too big a deal in the real world. I mean, it is just sweat and a little heat. And if you're in a colder place, who knows, you might even count this as an extra feature. Although when it comes to extra features this year, well, the XM6 can do some cooler things than just keeping your ears warm. But we'll talk about extra features right after this. Right now, we're still on seamlessness, and there's one more important thing that the XM6 has improved on this year that I haven't told you about. And what I'm talking about is its performance. The WH-1000XM6 is the most responsive headphone Sony's ever made. It might just be the most responsive pair of headphones I've ever used. That's saying something. I'm talking about everything from the normal stuff like pausing and playing your music, to fast forwarding and rewinding the music, to messing with noise canceling and transparency, to even using the quick transparency hand over your head feature. Like, everything just works. And even though they already did pretty good with this with the XM5s, well, things feel somehow even more reliable with the XM6 when it comes to performance and responsiveness. And it's not just that that's improved though, it's also the polish and just the seamlessness of the whole thing, like I said. Because if you're not listening to music, or if whatever you're listening to is not that loud, well, you're gonna hear the feedback sounds that Sony has added in to let you know that the touchpad has felt the touch of your finger. And I just think that's pretty nice. Like, who doesn't like attention to detail? Long story short, the XM6 passes the seamlessness test with flying colors. To be honest, the XM5s did as well, but surprise, surprise, the XM6 is the most seamless headphone you can buy from Sony today. They're also the headphones with the most extra features you can buy from Sony, although there's not too much to be excited about here. Most of these extra features are the same ones you'll find in the previous Sony flagships. So we have adaptive sound control, which tries to switch between noise cancelling and transparency for you, although it's not very smart. And it thinks that every time you're moving, you want transparency, and every time you're sitting still, you want noise cancelling. So yeah, I've had this off for the past 3 Sony flagships I've used. I've also left speak to chat off for similar reasons. It's not so smart as well, and just doesn't know when I'm trying to talk to someone and it should stop my music and put things in transparency mode, or when I just want to sing along to my music and it should just let it play. So yeah, I don't really use speak to chat these days. Now, there's also this new head gesture feature that I also don't use that lets you answer or reject incoming calls by nodding your head yes or shaking your head no. And honestly, just off reading what it said it's supposed to do, I immediately didn't trust it and I've never used it to this day. It's really important to me that I don't decline calls that I want to pick up, or even worse, pick up calls that I don't want to, by mistake, and then immediately be in a conversation with someone I don't want to be in a conversation with. So yeah, this has been off since I got the XM6. Now, a feature that's not so bad this year though, but it's also not new, is the automatic playing and pausing of music when you take the headphones off and put them back on. Although I don't really like this feature, honestly, on any headphones nowadays, so very soon after I got the XM6, like with other headphones, I turned it off. I like that the feature is there, and it does work the best it's ever worked on any Sony flagship headphone, but I just don't care for it, and I never use it. Same thing goes for most of these extra features I find kind of redundant. I just never use them, just like I never really used them in the past after getting to know them and making videos about them. Now, this does not apply to being able to connect to 2 devices at once though, because that's a great feature that I honestly kind of want / almost need on all future headphones that I'll ever want to use these days. And of course, I use it all the time on the XM6 and it works very well. Not very sexy of an extra feature, but kind of crutch and very practical these days, like I said. Now, a feature you could call sexy though, and a feature that I find myself using quite a bit this year, that just so happens to be a new extra feature on the XM6, is what Sony calls the Cinema Listening Mode. Sony's introduced some listening modes this year, and this is the only one worth talking about, honestly. See, if you've used spatial audio on the AirPods Pros or the AirPods Max before, well, then you know exactly what Sony's trying to do here, and they've managed to do it very well, in my opinion. See, you could just be watching a movie on your computer in your bedroom, and things would already sound good because of the XM6's sound quality in general. But then if you go to the Sony Sound Connect app and you change the listening mode from standard to cinema, well then, when you go back to your movie, things will sound different. It'd be like there's a lot more space and like the sound isn't really coming from the headphones in your ears, but from speakers all around you. I mean, like if you close your eyes and really focus on the sound, it'll almost feel like you're not in your bedroom just watching something on your iPad, but like you're in an actual theater, like you're actually at the movies. It's pretty cool. Now, it does work better with older movies I found that weren't really mixed as well as the movies of today, but it does sound good with modern stuff as well. Where I found it doesn't sound so good though is when you're listening to music. Yeah, that's gonna sound really off depending on the music you're listening to, and it's immediately gonna remind you that you're still in your bedroom. Although in the XM6's defense, it is called cinema mode. If you want to hear music in this surround sound kind of way, well then, what you're looking for is 360 audio. And even though 360 audio is good and is very cool and works really well, in order to use it, you're going to have to download one of these specific apps that you probably have never used before. You're going to have to pay a subscription for some of them after the free trial, and then you won't even be able to listen to the music you like. The only app I hadn't tested with 360 audio before is the actual 360 Reality Audio Live app that didn't exist then, I believe. So I decided to check it out, and I found that the library here and the songs you can listen to, it's even worse and more limited than the other apps. So yeah, I don't really rate 360 audio, although it's not because of its quality. In fact, I went ahead and gave it a try with the XM6 just to do it, and I'll tell you right now, my brothers and sisters in Christ, K-pop has never sounded so good. I don't know what to tell you. The XM6 has the best 360 audio mode on all Sony headphones. But 360 audio is still not good. But what is good though, like I was saying, is the cinema listening mode. Although sadly, I found that it's not as good as it could be. See, when you turn your head around, well, nothing happens. But something's supposed to happen. Sony said that the XM6 is supposed to have head tracking technology, which helps make things even more immersive, just like some other headphones can do, But for some reason, I haven't been able to get this to work. I mean, I've gone to the Sony Sound Connect app several times, and I've tried to optimize the spatial sound, and I've tilted my head over and over again. But even though it says everything's okay most of the time, it still hasn't worked for me to this day.
Sony does say that this only works with compatible services though. So it might be another case of like the 360 audio situation, which would be a shame, you know. But who knows, in the future, this might be fixed with the firmware update, you know.
I wouldn't hold my breath though. 360 audio hasn't changed for years. But with that being said, that's about all the extra features you need to know about on the WH-1000XM6. Now, let's talk about how long you'll be able to use these extra features for and use these headphones for before you can't anymore. Obviously, I'm talking battery life. When it comes to battery life on the WH-1000XM6, well, long story short, nothing has changed and things are still very, very, very good. Sony also still claims the same 30 hours it's claimed for the last couple of years, and I kind of do think these guys draw a little more power than some of its predecessors, but you need to game all day or watch stuff literally all day to ever hear the low battery warning that's gonna come in the next day or two, you know? Although I found that this year, that's actually more like your battery's gonna die any moment now warning instead of your battery's gonna last a couple more hours, so that's a little different. I would have sworn they used to warn me a lot sooner in the past. Although this year though, if you plug in the headphones, well, you don't have to wait. You can turn it on, connect to Bluetooth, and use it while it's charging. This is the first Sony WH pair of headphones that have been able to do this. Now charging will stop at 80% though, if you have the headphones on at the same time. Apparently it's not the healthiest for the battery to charge to 100% while being used as well. But long story short, all in all, you don't have to worry about battery life when it comes to the WH-1000XM6. It's never been an issue at all with any Sony flagship headphones, and it's not about to start being one now with the XM6. Now sadly though, there are some issues with the XM6 that I have to let you know about that might just make the entire experience of using these guys not so good. And apart from some of the cute little negative things I've talked about so far in this video, like fluctuating mic sounds and hot ears and etc., well, there's just one real big thing you should know about that if it happens to you, might just make the experience of using the XM6 awful and basically unusable in the real world. What I'm talking about is something that happened to my right ear pad, or more specifically, the speakers and audio drivers underneath my right ear pad. See, all of a sudden and out of nowhere, I'll just start hearing the ocean, or maybe some oil drilling, or maybe some ghosts. Like, what's Casper doing in my right ear pad? Long story short, it sounded like the right side of the headphones was deteriorating or something, and I thought there was just no way I'd be able to continue using the XM6. But then one day, without me doing anything at all of a sudden again, it all just went away. The right ear pad was perfectly fine, and even despite me trying to make it happen again for this video, the problem never came back again till this day. Still though, I don't know if I have full confidence in the thought that this would never happen again or that this only happened to me, you know? So when the problem went away, I actually almost didn't even include this part in the video, but I just thought that since I experienced it even a little bit, that, you know, you should too. But with that being said, that's about everything you need to know about the experience of using the brand new WH-1000XM6. Like I've said many times, it really is a proper improvement over all of its predecessors in almost each and every single way, and it probably is the best pair of consumer headphones in the entire world today. Well, probably. But what do you think though about the WH-1000XM6? Well, you should let me know in the comment section below. You should leave a like if you liked the video. Subscribe if you want to see some more videos about the XM6, as well as its competitors, of course. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. One of the best headphones in the world. Probably the best headphones at noise canceling. The top 5 for, man, what have I become, bro? Like, you know what? Let's see. Dang. It's been a minute, huh? Okay. Of course. And then, yeah, but still though, it's pretty outdated. I mean, there's what am I saying? Of course. let's just put it in. Let's just put it in number 2 for now. Although to be honest, it really could still be number 1. And let's just leave it for now. I mean, what about these guys? Damn, there even some that aren't here that really should be here, you know. And then there's the whole audiophile headphone situation. You know what? Screw it.